So getting a job isn't as easy as it used to be, but the market is particularly difficult for those who work in tech, especially for us coding monkeys like developers, engineers, and programmers. I remember starting back in 2015. The demand for coders was sky high then. It was a rapidly growing industry, and nearly everyone was talking about learning to code. Still, it wasn't a walk in the park. I had to teach myself whilst working full time, and it took me nearly a year to land my first developer job. Fast forward to today, and it's even harder. Tons of people know how to code, which means tons of competition. Then COVID hit, and suddenly everything went remote. The demand for digital products exploded almost overnight. Companies scrambled to go online and build apps, and that meant hiring more software engineers fast. For a while, it was a boom. Developers were in high demand. Salaries went up. Everyone was hiring. But eventually, it reached a tipping point. The market became oversaturated. Companies are now starting to cut back. Teams are shrinking. Layoffs have become more commonplace. And there are a few things that make this situation even harder. First, the remote work, whilst great for flexibility, has also opened up the job market to more global competition. You're no longer competing with developers in your own city or country. You're competing with talent from all over the world, some with lower salary expectations, others with more experience. Then there's the broader economic climate. With rising interest rates and a general slowdown in global output, investors have become more cautious. That means less funding for tech startups and fewer new roles being created. And of course, there's AI. It's a whole topic in itself, but there's no doubt that AI has added pressure to an already tough market. On one hand, it's helping developers move faster, automating repetitive tasks, generating code, and improving productivity. On the other hand, it's lowering the barrier to entry. More people are picking up coding faster using AI tools, which means there's even more competition. And in some cases, AI is outright replacing the need for junior devs entirely. Yes, the companies are hiring less, but that doesn't mean they've stopped hiring altogether. Far from it. Roles still exist. Opportunities are still out there. The difference now is that the bar has been raised. The criteria has changed. It's no longer enough to just know how to code. That's why you need to stand out. You need to be more intentional, and you need to understand what companies are really looking for. So what do you do then exactly? Well, firstly, you need to limit the amount of competition. Unless you have a ton of experience and are a perfect fit for the role, you can forget about applying to remote roles because nearly everyone is doing that. Instead, you can focus on applying to local companies or even regional ones. These companies might not even post on big job boards like LinkedIn or Indeed. You'll often find more success going directly to their website and checking maybe their careers page. Or better, you can reach out cold, send a short, well-crafted email introducing yourself and what you can offer, and a link to your portfolio or GitHub. And don't just apply to tech companies, because non-tech companies may also have roles in software that are not widely known. This approach does take a bit more effort, but the competition is lesser to a degree, and your chances of standing out are way higher. Second, when applying to these companies, make sure that your CV or resume is short and concise, and obviously to the point. So don't just overload it with like every project you've ever worked on. 1 or 2 or maybe even 3, depending on how much experience you have, are relevant enough, especially if they show off the kind of work the company is hiring for. And definitely don't list every single technology you've ever touched. It might seem like a flex, but to a hiring manager, it can look like you're a generalist who's dabbled in everything but mastered nothing. Instead, highlight the key skills that match the job description. Use clear, concise bullet points that show impact. What did you build? What was the outcome? Keep it relevant and easy to scan. But I guess the question is, what if you don't have any experience? Then you just create your own. When I was starting out, I had 0 professional experience, no internships, and no formal training for that matter. I had nothing. So I did the only thing that I could think of, which was I started just building things. I went to a local restaurant and offered to build their website for free, just so I could add it to my portfolio. I then made another website for a friend's business, and I treated every project like it was a real job, because honestly, it was. Before long, I was able to position myself as a freelance web developer, and that made all the difference. It gave me something tangible to show employers and something real to talk about in interviews. The other tip that I can give you is to exaggerate and oversell yourself. So what do I mean by this? Look, you're not going to know every language that's out there, but the great thing about being a developer is that you can pretty much learn anything. So if there's a language that you don't quite know but think you can learn, then apply for the role anyway. You see, if you're an Angular developer and you only apply to Angular roles, then you're going to limit yourself and there might not be much available out there. But if you apply for React roles, then you'll have more opportunities and more chance of landing a role, because at the end of the day, they are both JavaScript frameworks and the knowledge is transferable. This may be a controversial take, but it's okay to lie a little. And if you're confident enough to back it up, the fake it till you make it is very much a real thing in the software industry. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The same goes for when you're in an interview. Sell yourself as much as possible and make sure that you are prepared for follow-up questions. You need to treat it like a date. Now, you wouldn't be completely honest about everything on the first date, right? Instead, you'll give them as much information as needed and keep it relevant. You can be honest, of course, but not too honest. Finally, you need to make sure that you have everything up to date on your CV or resume. If you're a developer or engineer working in a job, then having a brag list which you update weekly is not a bad idea, because it'll be much easier when you apply for another role. Also, make sure to check LinkedIn and Indeed for jobs, because the market, as you know, is always constantly changing and there could be opportunities out there that you'll miss out on. Yes, the market is tough right now. It's more competitive and more selective and frankly more uncertain than it's been in years. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the road. It just means that you have to adapt, which as a developer or engineer is something that you're built to do. Tech is a cyclical industry. It always has been. Just look back from the dot-com crash to the 2008 recession to the post-COVID hiring frenzy. Every boom is followed by a correction. Every bust gives way to a new wave of innovation in technology. This is just another cycle. And if you can stay sharp and keep building, then you'll definitely come out of it stronger. Because the truth is, good developers will always be needed. Yes, the tools may change, job titles may evolve, but the core skill, which is solving problems with code, that never goes out of style. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.